Singer-actress Brandy was only 16 years old and he was 22 and a part of one of the biggest R&B groups on the planet. For years, the world referred to it as a simple schoolgirl crush, but Brandy, mm-mm, she's tired of being quiet. In her newly released memoir, the singer finally pulls back the curtains on a relationship that she says has haunted her for decades. And the words she chooses to use are not soft. So today we're going all in on what Brandy revealed about Boys to Men singer Wanye Morris and why this moment is so much bigger than just celebrity gossip. Stay with me. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Crown by Kenzie. Now, before we go any further, make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment, and hit that notification bell so you'll know the next time I go live or I post another video. And also make sure you share it with your friends and family. All right, come on in, settle down. Happy Wednesday. If you all recall, back in the day, and everybody remembers, at least if you're old enough, Brandy and Wanye had this relationship that none of us really knew the intimate details of except their close circle. Well, today we're finding out more and more details because Brandy just released a memoir titled Phases. Now, a little history here. Let's set the scene. Brandy met Wanye back in 1995 when she opened for their group, Boys to Men, on their world tour. Just 1 year after releasing her debut album. And keep in mind, she was only 16 years old, fresh in the industry, performing before one of the hottest groups in the world. He already had the fame, the notoriety, the credibility, and the experience. So the playing field was never level. According to the chapter titled Broken Hearted, Brandy states that Morris was first seen as an anchor and confidant, something like a mentor figure, before the relationship crossed into something more romantic. She writes that what began as admiration was eventually transformed into something else entirely. In her own words, she says, "It seems to me that he weaponized my admiration, shaped my friendship into dependence, and my respect into desire." Now, the transition from mentor to confidant to romantic partner is pretty much a textbook dynamic. Brandy isn't naming it, well, she is naming it with language that is deliberate and precise and not emotional. Keep that in mind. Both Brandy and Wanye knew that public knowledge of their relationship, because she was underage at that time, would cause a major scandal and threaten everything that they had worked for. So they created what she titled or what she calls an elaborate fiction, pretending they were waiting until her 18th birthday before pursuing anything romantic. Meanwhile, she wrote that sneaking around with Wanye and lying to her parents had become a constant thing. They barely liked the idea of me dating at all, and telling them about us was just out the question. Now, y'all know back in the day, her mom, Miss Norwood, she did not play any games. She had a strict reputation back in the day in the music industry. Now, this is before social media and everything. I had already heard this. And Miss Sonya Norwood did not play. Now, this is one of the most chilling details in the chapter. A 22-year-old man, adult man, was aware enough to know that this was wrong, dating a 16-year-old. Aware enough to construe a public lie, but continued anyway. That awareness is the key detail that all of you need to pay attention to, okay? Brandy then goes on to detail her first time with Morris as something that lacked the specialness she had painted in her mind because it wasn't about me at all. She describes the encounter element of their relationship as him getting what he wanted from someone too young to recognize she was being used. To me, she is describing a loss of innocence that she processed completely different. In secret, away from her parents as a teenager, in the spotlight, with no room to be vulnerable or even get help. According to Brandy, as the relationship progressed, Wanye became increasingly prone to comparing her to other singers such as Mariah Carey. Whoa. His one sweet day duet partner. He also became hard to track down, requiring her to page him before she even called him. That's suspect as hell. Brandy then reflects, these are the things that with hindsight you realize are wildly obvious signs of something wrong. Neon warning signs that I chose to ignore because I didn't know what the hell I was doing or what he was doing with me. Those are emotional manipulation tactics, simply put. This was a woman, well, this is currently a woman who has obviously done some deep internal work to understand what was being done to her at that 16 years old. And you guys know when you're that young, you don't process these things as the same way you do when you turn 40. Okay? 40 plus. The relationship ultimately ended after Brandy discovered Morris had been unfaithful, in which he admitted to everything. After it all, the secrecy, the manipulation, the loss of her virginity, she was also cheated on. This to me was the final layer of betrayal. She gave him everything, her trust, her body, her silence, and the relationship ultimately ended with infidelity. This is important because it shows that she was never in a relationship with someone who truly valued or protected her, but just more so in a relationship with someone who took advantage of her and of her youth. For me, this kind of hits home because you guys know back in the day when we were around that age, we all thought it was right. I'm sure you guys may have had some dealings with someone that was older that maybe you should not have had those sort of interactions with, and it was normalized for some reason. Now that kind of shit wouldn't fly today, but back then it was the norm. Everybody was doing it in some shape, form, or fashion. And so for me, it hits home because, okay, I'm gonna tell y'all some of my business. I did have a somewhat relationship with someone that was older than me that took advantage of me pretty much almost in the same ways, not in the music industry thing, none of that, but they took advantage of their age versus mine. And I thought at that time it was someone that truly cared about me and loved me, only for that person to turn around and cheat on me left, right, sideways, up, and down. Admitted to it. And then after it was all said and done, I realized that that person only took advantage of me at that time. But that's another story. For years, Morris described their relationship as the young ingenue having a schoolgirl crush and getting her heart broken. Brandy pushes back on that framing directly in the memoir. During a 2021 live social media post, he reportedly shared the sentiment that we were young, attempting to frame the situation as two young people in a mutual situation.
Brandy and I were friends in the beginning. Her mother and reached out to me, as well as my manager reached out to Brandy, because Brandy was a big fan of mine. And I was, I was like, wow, that's amazing, because this young lady was pretty cool. Now I was young at the time. I wasn't 30 nothing. You know what I'm saying? So don't get it twisted. Hold on one second. Can we keep it down? Cause I can't hear. All right. So what happened is we actually, she became kind of like my little protege. You know what I mean? I'm actually the one that introduced her to Vita Spears and Ralph Fuqua, they came to us to actually do a TV show on the UPN network. And I said, well, you know, Brandy's down the hallway, and you know, she's basically she was on the Thea show. Okay, cool. Introduced her to that. The show came to fruition. My mom and I wrote the theme song to the Brandy show. So Brandy and I were really, really close. Once she turned of age, we had been hanging around each other so much. We've been hanging around each other so much that there became to be some sort of connection, an intimate connection. We actually fell in love. Now, we were young. That's what happens. You're young and you fall in love. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you have the ability to be around somebody a lot, you begin to know things about them. You know what I mean? And they know things about you. Now, when you're young, you make decisions based on your youth. You know what I'm saying? You don't make decisions, moral decisions that put you in a whole position where you know that this is what's going to be for the rest of your life. You're learning through everything. And Brandy and I learned through a lot. When it came time for Brandy to go on her prom, she was my girlfriend. Kobe Bryant was graduating from high school that year. Brandy was my girlfriend. She had just graduated from Pepperdine, and her mom and I, we both made it so that Brandy was able to go on tour. I mean, on the prom with Kobe Bryant. Okay, when it came time for Brandy to introduce herself to the world, I'm the one that actually put her on the Boys to Men tour. Okay, so she was with me. You know, she was my friend, and we became intimate in a relationship. There's no lie going on here. You can ask Brandy; she will tell you the same story. Relax on what you think, because I know, because I lived it, and so did Brandy. As time progressed, we grew out of each other. Yes, it was a hurtful thing. It was a hurtful thing to break up. That's what happens. You're in a relationship and then you break up. She grew out of me and I grew out of her. Might have grown out of her a little bit faster, but you know, it's a relationship. You're young and you make decisions. Next thing you know, that's what it is. Brandy's successful, Boys to Men is successful, and we're happy. You know what I'm saying?
His narrative erases the age gap, the power dynamic, and her experience entirely. Calling it a schoolgirl crush is a way of making her the one who got carried away when she is saying the exact opposites. Now, you guys know you have to be careful what you put out there in social media land or put out there in these videos, because some way, somehow, and a lot here lately, they have been coming back to bite several people in the ass, and he's one of them. Take a listen to the interview that he did on The Breakfast Club some years ago when he addressed the relationship with Brandy.
Wanye was banging Brandy.
Brandy?
He left you lonely, brokenhearted.
No, I didn't actually leave alone.
He was teaching Reggae how to do videos.
You taught Brandy how to do the same.
That's why they called you Squirt.
You been sending her behind the music that you broke her heart because you fell in love with somebody else.
I mean, you only fall in love with somebody. You only fall out of love with somebody else if somebody makes you fall out of love. Mm-hmm. You know, so if that was the situation, if that's what she said, then
that's political. I like.
Oh, they were saying she was really young when y'all dated.
Yeah, she was. Not that young. Not
God,
not
jailbait.
No, that's what I'm saying. Hold on, but you know that's why. But that's why I stopped it. Hold on, but that's why I stopped it and said that she wasn't that young, because I don't want y'all to think Boys to Men was no.
Brandy closed out the chapter with a statement that has already gone viral. The shame ends here. The silence ends here. I was not a fast girl with a crush. I was not a dramatic teenager who couldn't handle rejection. I was not an unstoppable, obsessive fan. I was a child, and he was an adult. And it's time that the world understood the difference. Why did it take a memoir in 2026 for the world to hear this? Brandy held this for over 30 years. 30. So I want to know, why do we as people keep putting the shame on the child instead of the adult? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's talk about it.